Mom and Dad took my sister on a 3-day trip. They only remembered I was still locked in my bedroom when they got home. They probably expected to find a starved corpse, but I'd just taken a shower, was wearing clean pajamas, and holding a bowl of ribs, my mouth all greasy. Mom stared at the empty kitchen, her voice trembling. "Who made you food?" I pointed at the mirror beside the wardrobe, the mom and dad inside. Dad smashed a bowl on the spot, saying I was faking illness to compete for attention, just like my sister. That night, they locked my door from the outside. At midnight, a thin, pale hand reached out from the mirror and gently wiped away my tears. Mirror, Mom smiled softly. "One more time. If they don't want you again, Mom will come out." Mom burst into my room while I was biting into a piece of sweet and sour ribs. She ran in so fast that she lost a slipper, her forehead covered in sweat. Dad followed behind, still dragging the suitcase. My sister stood quietly at the door, holding her stuffed doll, wearing a shell hairpin she'd bought at the beach. All three of them had gifts, except me, but that was okay. Mirror, Mom had already given me a little conch that could sing. It just couldn't leave the mirror. How are you still alive?" Mom blurted out. I paused for half a second while chewing. "That didn't sound very lucky." Dad coughed. "She means, you haven't eaten for 3 days. How are you completely fine?" I ate. The bread at home was expired, and the fridge was empty. "What did you eat?" I held up the rib in my hand. Mom stared at that rib, her face slowly turning pale. In the white ceramic bowl were 6 ribs with shiny red sauce, plus a small ball of rice and 2 pieces of broccoli. Mirror, Mom said kids can't just eat meat. You need a balanced diet. My real mom had never said that. She spent every day chasing my sister around to feed her. If my sister wouldn't eat veggies, she'd cook them differently every time. When it was my turn, she'd just say, "There's leftovers in the pot, help yourself." I pointed to the full-length mirror beside the wardrobe. The mom and dad in the mirror made it for me. The room went silent. My sister's doll let out a tiny electronic sound. "Mommy," that was the companion doll Dad had specially bought for her. My sister refused to talk to people, but she often nodded or shook her head at the doll. The doctor said it was part of her autism. The guilt on Mom's face lasted only a few seconds before turning into anger. "Lingua, you're only 7. How dare you lie like that?" "I'm not lying. How could there be people in a mirror?" "There really are." I put down the bowl and ran to the mirror. In the mirror, the room looked exactly the same as outside, except the bedsheet outside was blue, and inside it was yellow. The light outside was cold and harsh, but inside, a warm yellow lamp was always on. I pressed my hand against the mirror's surface. "Mom, my real parents are back." The mirror didn't react. All I saw in the smooth surface was my own face, and behind me, 4 people, wait, 3 people. My sister wasn't in the mirror. I turned around, and she was clearly standing at the door. I opened my mouth to warn Dad, but he had already snatched the bowl from my hand and slammed it to the ground. Enough. Shards of porcelain flew onto my foot, leaving a red scratch. Dad pointed at my nose, his chest heaving. "Your sister has never been able to communicate since she was little. You know how many doctors we've taken her to over the years, how much money we've spent. She ended up like this because of you. If Mom hadn't gotten pregnant with you, if you hadn't been born and stolen her attention, would she have autism?" I glanced at my sister. She was staring at the floor, twisting her doll's skirt into a wrinkled mess. Mom sat on the bed, covering her face with her hands. "We're already exhausted. Why do you have to copy her? Do you think pretending to be sick will make us love you more?" I shook my head. I wasn't pretending, and I didn't want them to love me more. I was just telling the truth. But Dad grabbed my shoulders and shoved me against the wall. "What have you been eating these 3 days? Ribs, tomato, and eggs, shrimp, and a little cake. Who gave them to you?" The mirror, Mom. Smack, his palm landed on my cheek. My ears rang, like 100 bees had flown inside. Still lying, Mom picked up my sister and paused as she passed me. She seemed to want to look at my face, but then the doll in my sister's arms suddenly cried out. "Ouch." Mom immediately bent down to check on my sister. Yeah, where does it hurt? Did something scare you?" My sister didn't answer. Mom hurried away with her in her arms. Dad closed the bedroom door and turned the key from outside. "No dinner tonight. Come out when you know you've done wrong." The lock clicked shut. I sat beside the broken porcelain, touching my swollen cheek. At midnight, the lights in the room went out. Ripples spread across the mirror. Next to the wardrobe, a pale, bony hand reached out, carefully avoiding the scattered shards, and gently stroked my head. Gwagwa, don't cry. The mirror mom's body appeared only halfway out. She wore that faded floral apron, and her face was still hidden behind a thin layer of mist. She handed me warm milk, then used a cotton swab to clean the wound on my foot. Her movements were so gentle, much gentler than mom's. They've already left you behind twice. Third time's the charm. I sniffled. What happens the third time? She looked at me through the mist. The third time, you get to choose new parents. 2. The first time I was left behind, I was 4. My sister lost her comfort doll in the mall and started screaming, throwing things. Mom held her while searching for the doll, and Dad went to check the security cameras. Neither of them noticed that I was still sitting in the mall's family restroom. I waited until dark. The cleaning lady turned off the lights and called out twice, but she didn't check the stalls. She just pushed her cart away. I banged on the door, calling for Mom and Dad. No one answered. My phone was dead. That night, the mirror in the restroom opened for the first time. The mirror Dad crouched inside the sink and asked me, "Little one, why are you all alone?" I told him I was waiting for my parents. He stayed with me until 1 in the morning. The mirror mom cooked me small wontons and handed a little blanket out from the mirror. At 2 in the morning, a security guard found me. When my parents arrived, Mom's eyes were swollen from crying. She hugged me and said she was sorry, that she'd never forget me again. But on the way home, my sister kept screaming. Mom let go of me and turned to comfort her. After that, she never mentioned it again. The second time was this trip. We were supposed to leave Friday morning. I packed my backpack a day early, with 2 outfits, a toothbrush, and my favorite bunny hair clip. But on Friday morning, when I woke up, the house was empty. No breakfast on the table. 3 suitcases were missing from the entryway. I called Mom. The first call went unanswered. The second was hung up on. The third finally went through. I could hear waves in the background. It sounded like my sister was laughing. I rarely heard her laugh, so I stayed quiet for a moment. Mom's voice was impatient. Gwagwa, what's wrong? Where are you? At the beach. What about me? There was silence on the other end. After about 10 seconds, Mom lowered her voice. Your sister had a rough night, so we decided to leave early. Don't make a fuss. We'll be back in a couple of days, but the door is locked. Stay home and don't run around. There should still be food in the fridge. The fridge had only half a carton of expired milk and a rotten tomato. Mom, I'm scared. You're 7 years old. What's there to be scared of? Your sister rarely wants to go out. Don't ruin it for her. She hung up. I tried calling again, but her phone was off. That night, the mirror opened again. The home inside the mirror was warm. The layout was exactly like ours, but there was no sister screaming, no dad sighing, and no mom saying, "You need to be more considerate." Mirror mom made me 3 meals a day. Mirror dad helped me with my summer homework. When I got a math problem wrong, he didn't slam the table. He just tore off a piece of scratch paper and drew 7 crooked apples. They were ugly. I laughed for half the night. They also bathed me, dried my hair, and took turns telling me bedtime stories. On the first day, I asked them why they were so good to me. Mirror dad said, "Isn't it a parent's job to take care of their child?" I didn't dare tell my real dad that. He would probably get angry if he heard it. At 2 in the morning, after finishing my milk, I asked Mirror Mom, "Can I choose you guys now?" "No." "Why?" "Mirrors don't steal children." She tucked the blanket around me. "Only when a child has been abandoned by their parents 3 times does the mirror give them the right to choose again. What if they never leave me again? Then we'll stay in the mirror forever." I hugged the small blanket tightly. My heart felt a little sore, but also a little happy. I didn't want to be left behind again, but I didn't want to never see them again either. Mirror Mom understood. She gently pinched my cheek. "Gwagwa, you don't have to decide right away. Good parents don't force their children to prove their love." The next morning, the door to my room opened. Dad stood outside, holding a broom and a trash can. "Clean up the broken pieces from last night." I looked at him. "My foot is hurt. It's just a small cut. Don't be dramatic." He tossed the broom inside. Mom walked by carrying breakfast. On the plate were bear-shaped egg pancakes and sliced strawberries. I thought they were for me. When I reached out, she moved the plate away. "These are for your sister. Clean your room first, then you can eat." Sister followed behind her. When she reached the doorway, she stopped and quietly placed a strawberry on the floor. Mom turned around, and She quickly pulled her hand back, the strawberry rolled to my feet. Sister looked up at me, her lips moved, no sound came out, but the doll in her arms spoke. I'm sorry, my parents decided something was wrong with me. That afternoon, they brought in a child counselor, not because they cared about me, but to prove that the mirror family didn't exist. The counselor's name was Chen. She was in her 40s and wore round glasses. She didn't ask about the mirror right away. Instead, she took out some building blocks and asked me to build a home. I made 2 houses, one blue, one yellow. In the blue house, I put Dad, Mom, and Sister. In the yellow house, there was me, and another mom and dad. Teacher Chen asked, "Why aren't you in the blue house?" I said, "No room." The table was huge. There were plenty of blocks left. She paused, then asked, "What do the mom and dad in the yellow house look like?" "I can't see their faces." "Aren't you scared?" "No." "Why?" I looked down and placed the yellow roof. "People who feed me aren't scary." A soft thud came from outside the door. Mom's bag had dropped to the floor. Teacher Chen went out and talked with my parents for a long time. I pressed my ear to the door and eavesdropped. Mom whispered, "Is she imitating her sister?" "We can't conclude that yet, but she was perfectly normal before. She was home alone for 3 days. This isn't just a parenting issue." "Why didn't you confirm who would watch her before you left?" "We didn't mean to," Dad cut in. "My older daughter had an episode. We forgot in the chaos. The doors and windows were locked, and there was no danger." Teacher Chen's tone turned colder. "A 7-year-old alone for 3 days is danger in itself. But she's fine now. Just because nothing happened doesn't mean you did the right thing." Silence from outside. It was the first time I'd heard anyone talk to Dad like that. How do I put it? It felt pretty good. Whenever Dad scolded me, he'd say he was the adult and knew more than me. Turns out adults make mistakes too, and when they do, they don't always admit it. When Teacher Chen came back in, she handed me a business card. "Guagua, if you're ever scared, you can call this number." I put the card in my pocket. She looked toward the mirror by the closet. "Can I take a closer look?" "Sure." She stood in front of it and touched the surface. The mirror looked ordinary, at least during the day. As she was about to leave, my sister ran over from the living room and grabbed her sleeve. Mom looked surprised and happy. Yeah, do you want to talk to Teacher Chen?" My sister shook her head. She shoved the comfort doll into Teacher Chen's hands. The doll's plastic eyes blinked, and a red light glowed on its chest. Teacher Chen pressed the play button. Only a few pre-recorded phrases came out. "Hello, I love Mommy. Have a happy day." My sister's face turned red with frustration. She kept pressing a small button on the doll's back. Mom snatched the doll back. "Okay, don't worry, if it breaks, I'll buy you a new one." My sister hugged it tightly. She glanced at me. That look was strange, like she was warning me, or maybe she was scared of something. That night, after the mirror opened, I told Mirror Dad about it. He was helping me with math homework. When he heard the word doll, his red pen froze. "Guagua, is your sister's doll always on?" "She carries it everywhere, even when she sleeps." "Yeah." Mirror Dad and Mirror Mom exchanged a look. The lights in the mirror flickered twice. "That doll might not be a toy. Then what is it?" Mirror Mom didn't answer. "She just told me to spend more time with my sister lately." I felt a bit annoyed. "Mom says my sister got sick because of me." "Nonsense." Mirror Dad slammed his red pen on the table. That was the first time I saw him angry. "Autism isn't caused by having a younger sibling, and it's definitely not any child's fault." "Then why doesn't she talk?" "Some people can't talk. Some people don't dare to," Mirror Mom added softly. "And some people have words trapped inside." Waiting for someone to listen, I thought about my sister's doll, blinking with that red light. Maybe it was more than just a toy. Maybe it was her voice when she couldn't speak. "Can I help her?" I asked. Mirror Dad put his hand on my head. "You already are, just by being there." Mirror Mom smiled. "Be patient with her, Guagua. She might open up when she's ready." I nodded, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The way my sister looked at me, like she was scared for me. Scared of what? Later, as I lay in bed, I stared at the mirror. It looked ordinary now, just a reflection of my room, but I knew better. I knew the truth lived behind that glass, and I knew my sister knew something too. Your sister might be the latter. Suddenly, the sound of slippers shuffling against the floor came from outside the door. When I turned around, the bedroom door was pushed open a crack. My sister stood there. She was looking at the mirror, and still, she wasn't in it, but the doll in Her arms appeared clearly in the mirror. In the mirror, the doll wasn't being held by her, it was sitting alone on the floor, face down, with a red light blinking on its back. Mirror. Dad slowly stood up. Guagua, bring the doll inside. I waved at my sister. Hey, can you lend me the doll for a sec? She didn't move. The red light in the mirror blinked faster and faster. I walked over, and the moment I touched the doll, she gripped it tight. Her palms were all sweaty. I won't break it. Still, she wouldn't let go. We stood there frozen for a few seconds, and then the doll suddenly spoke. Don't touch me. That wasn't a recording, it was Mom's voice. We both let go at the same time. The doll hit the floor, and the red light went out. Footsteps echoed from the living room. My sister grabbed the doll in a flash, yanked out the battery from its back, and pulled me into the closet. It was dark in there. She covered my mouth and held her breath. Dad pushed the door open. Where are they? Mom followed behind him. Was that the doll just now? Probably. You hit the record button. Did you check it? Yeah, there's nothing in it. They looked around the room. Just before the closet door was pulled open, the mirror let out a loud thud. Dad turned around. A thin crack had appeared on the mirror's surface, out of nowhere. This piece of junk should have been thrown out ages ago. He gave up on the closet and reached for the mirror instead. I shoved the closet door open and ran out. Don't touch it. Dad jumped, startled, then his face darkened. What were you doing hiding in there? Playing hide and seek. With who? I pointed at my sister. She stood there, head down, clutching the doll. He glanced at her and didn't suspect a thing. In their minds, my sister couldn't lie. No, that's not right. My sister couldn't even talk at dinner that night. Dad announced he was throwing out the mirror. I put down my chopsticks immediately. No, you don't get a say in this house. That's my mirror. I gave you this whole home. Dad's words hit like a hammer. My sister's spoon dropped into her bowl, and soup splashed onto the table. Mom quickly grabbed a napkin to wipe it up. Don't be scared. Daddy's not mad at you. That was Rich. Dad was clearly yelling at me, but Mom only cared about my sister being scared. I looked at the three people across the table and, for the first time, realized Mirror Mom was right. Good parents don't force their kids to prove their love, but bad parents always ask. We feed you, we clothe you, what more could you possibly want? But if I said I wanted to go on a trip with them, or have a bear-shaped egg pancake, or have someone pick up the phone when I'm scared, they'd call me ungrateful. I finished my bowl of rice and put my bowl in the kitchen myself. You can throw away the mirror. Dad seemed surprised. I agreed. But the doll goes too. Mom frowned right away. That's your sister's favorite thing. Why should it be thrown out? The mirror is my favorite thing. The mirror gives you unhealthy fantasies. The doll calms your sister down. It's not the same. What's the difference? I looked at her, because what she likes matters, and what I like is just me being sick. Mom pressed her lips together. After a long pause, she finally squeezed out, Are you really going to argue with someone who's sick? I'm not sick. My sister suddenly slammed the table. No sound came from her mouth, but the whole dining room went quiet. She dropped her spoon and ran back to her room, clutching her doll. Mom chased after her. Dad glared at me. Happy now? I didn't slam the table. If you hadn't made a scene, would she have gotten upset? Fine, it's my fault again. I'm used to it by now. The next day, Counselor Chen came back. This time, she brought a child psychiatrist. The doctor reviewed my sister's medical records from the past 5 years and observed her alone for half an hour. When he came out, he asked a question. Did Lin Yu have normal language development before age 3? Mom said, yes. Did she actively communicate with people? Yes. She used to be very lively. It wasn't until after she turned 4 that she gradually stopped talking. The doctor took off his glasses and wiped the lenses. Typical autism spectrum disorder usually shows social, language, or behavioral signs at an earlier stage. Based on the current information, I recommend a reevaluation. She might not have autism. Dad's face changed. If it's not autism, then what is it? Selective mutism, a trauma response, or other psychological issues are all possibilities. Mom immediately pushed back. That's impossible. The doctors all said she couldn't accept her sister being born, felt we didn't love her anymore, and that's why she shut down. Which doctor concluded that? Mom couldn't name one. My sister saw many doctors when she was 4. My parents only remembered the explanation they wanted to believe, because if it was my fault, everything was simple. No self-reflection, no change, No need to admit that maybe my sister's condition had something to do with them. The doctor suggested talking to my sister alone. Mom disagreed, but my sister took Counselor Chen's hand and walked into the study herself. An hour later, the door opened. Counselor Chen's face was grim. My sister still didn't speak, but she handed over the doll. The plastic panel on its back was already removed. Inside, besides the batteries, there was a micro SD card. Dad reached for it. Counselor Chen pulled it away. What's on there? Mom's voice was starting to waver. My sister stood in front of me. Her shoulders were shaking, but this time, she didn't back down. She raised her hand, pointed at me, then pointed toward the mirror in the bedroom, and then she spoke. My sister isn't lying. The mom in the mirror, I've seen her too. 5. My sister hadn't spoken in 5 years. Her first words weren't, Dad, or, Mom. They were to vouch for me. Mom's hand was still frozen in mid-air, her expression like ice. Dad reacted first. He rushed over and grabbed my sister's shoulders. Yeah, what did you say? She winced as his grip hurt her. Counselor Chen pulled Dad away. Don't touch her. But Dad acted like he didn't hear. She told you to say that, didn't she? He pointed at me, his finger almost poking my forehead. Did Lingua force you to lie? My sister shook her head. Dad was about to push further when the doll suddenly made a sound. This time, it wasn't the system voice, it was a recording from 5 years ago. First, the sound of a fierce argument. Mom was crying. Dad's voice was low and angry. You promised you'd take care of her. Why did you get pregnant again? It was an accident. What was I supposed to do? Yaya is already so attached to you. If you have another one, can she handle it? So what do you want me to do? Get an abortion? The recording paused for a few seconds, then a young voice. My sister's crying. Mommy, are you and Daddy not going to keep the baby? Mom's voice immediately softened. Be good. Yeah, Mommy loves you the most. Even after your sister is born, she won't take Mommy and Daddy away from you. A crash came from behind, like something shattering. The recording ended. No one in the room spoke. My sister didn't develop autism because of my birth when she was 4. She just heard too many things no child should hear. She knew our parents never wanted me, and she knew that if she cried and made a fuss, she could pull them away from me. At first, she did act out. While I was drinking milk, she'd throw her cup. When Mom tried to soothe me, she'd lie on the floor and scream. But my sister was only 4 years old then. It was our parents who told her, over and over, see, it's your sister who makes you miserable. Mommy doesn't have time for you because she has to take care of your sister. If your sister had never been born, we'd still be the happiest little family of 3. Eventually, my sister stopped talking and our parents breathed a sigh of relief. They slapped the label, autistic, on her, revolved their lives around her, and shoved all their guilt and exhaustion onto me. The recordings in the doll kept playing, one after another. There was the sound of me crying with a fever when I was 1. There was Mom complaining about how much trouble I was, telling Dad not to bother with me. And then, from 4 years ago, that time in the mall restroom, in the recording, my sister kept shouting, my sister is still in the bathroom, Dad, she hasn't come out, Mom. Wait for her. But Mom was too busy looking for her doll, just saying, yeah, don't be difficult. And Dad said, she's old enough, she won't get lost. They didn't fail to hear her, they just didn't believe her. At 1 in the morning, after learning I was trapped in the mall, our parents argued in the car. What if something really happened to Guagua? What can we do? We'll be more careful next time. It's all Yaya's fault for wanting her doll. Don't let her hear you. After that, my sister went completely silent, because she felt that every time she spoke, someone got left behind, so she stored all her words inside that doll. She kept it up for 5 years. The final recording was from 3 days ago. I called Mom, asking where they were. She said they were at the beach. I told her I was scared. After the call ended, my sister's voice came through the doll. My sister is still at home, Mom said, in a low voice. She can take care of herself. Let's go back and pick her up. That was my sister's voice, clear and complete, but trembling with tears. The next second, Mom cut her off sharply. I thought you couldn't talk, so you faked being sick just to compete with your sister for our attention. My sister never made another sound. I looked at her, and suddenly, I understood what that strawberry rolling to my feet meant, and what the doll meant when it said, I'm sorry. She had been apologizing to me all along, but she was never the one who did something wrong. Counselor Chen carefully put away the memory card. I'll back up these recordings. Dad reached out to stop her. This is our family's private business. When it involves the safety of 2 children, it's more than just privacy. What are you planning to do? If you continue with inappropriate caregiving, I'll contact the school, the community, and Child Protective Services. Mom's face turned ugly, finally. She stopped looking at my sister and stared at me instead. That look made my blood run cold. It was like I had just ripped a hole in the life she'd carefully maintained for 5 years. It's all because of that mirror. She said it softly. That night, Dad smashed the mirror with a hammer. 6. The mirror shattered into 17 pieces. Afraid I might pick them up, Dad bagged them in a black trash bag that same night and threw it in the dumpster outside the neighborhood. I didn't cry, and I didn't try to stop him, because when the first shard hit the floor, Mirror Mother's voice whispered right by my ear. Don't be afraid, the door isn't in the mirror, the door is in your heart. That was a bit deep. I'm 7, so I didn't really get it, but I knew they were still there. That night, I found a tiny piece of mirror that had been missed, hidden under my bed. It was only the size of a fingernail. Inside, a small warm yellow light was glowing. The next day, Mom and Dad didn't take me to school. Mom said she was taking me for a checkup. My sister hugged me and wouldn't let go. She'd started talking recently, but her voice was very soft, and she paused for a long time between each word. I want to go too. No, Mom said, patting her head. That place is full of sick people. It would scare you. My sister pointed at me. My sister isn't sick. Mom's hand froze for a moment. Yeah, she's influenced you. No, she hasn't. You used to be so good. I used to be too scared to talk. The smile vanished from Mom's face. Dad dragged me out the door. When I looked back, my sister was standing at the entrance, barefoot, clutching her doll tightly. She wasn't crying. She just said 2 words to me. Wait for me. The place Mom and Dad took me wasn't in the city. We drove for 2 hours and stopped in front of a gray 4-story building. A sign by the door read, Chingha Child Behavior Correction Center. The walls were high, and the windows had iron bars. A woman in a white coat came out with a clipboard. You must be Lingua. Mom nodded. The woman crouched down and smiled at me. Little one, do you often see things that other people can't? I didn't answer. She kept going. Do you also lie, talk back, and pretend to be sick like your sister on purpose? She clearly already knew all this from Mom. I took a step back. I want to go home. Dad blocked the car door. We'll come get you once you're better. How long? Depends on how you behave. Will you come today? No, tomorrow. Mom looked away. Guagua, we're already exhausted taking care of your sister. If you stay here for a while, it'll be better for everyone. The woman grabbed my arm. She was strong, and her nails dug into my skin. I struggled. Let go of me. Mom frowned. Stop making a scene. This isn't a hospital. The doctor said this is a special place to help troubled kids. Counselor Chen never said that. Dad slammed the car door. Counselor Chen is too nosy. We've already filed a complaint about her. The woman dragged me toward the building. I gripped the iron gate as hard as I could. When will you come get me? Dad got into the driver's seat. Mom looked at me through the car window. Her lips moved. I could read what she said. She said, when you're normal. The car drove away. It didn't look back. The iron gate locked behind me. The woman pried my hands off and shoved me into a room without windows. Inside, there was only an iron bed and a plastic bucket. 10 rules were posted on the wall. No crying, no shouting, no talking back to the staff. No making up people who don't exist. Break any rule, and you get locked in solitary for 6 hours. The woman took my shoelaces and jacket, then searched my pockets. She took Counselor Chen's business card. Luckily, I'd hidden the little mirror piece in my sock. At 10 that night, she brought me a bowl of cold porridge. Say it once. There's no one in the mirror. I didn't say it. She poured the porridge into the plastic bucket. If you want to eat tomorrow morning, you better be a good girl. The door closed. From the hallway, children's cries drifted in, one after another, quickly muffled into stifled gasps. I curled up on the metal bed and pulled the mirror shard from my sock. The shard was pitch black. I whispered, Mom, no answer. Dad, still nothing. I thought the door was broken. Maybe Mirror Mom and Mirror Dad could only live in the mirror at home. Maybe when Dad smashed the mirror, he killed them, just as I was about to put the shard away. A line of blood-red letters floated up on its surface. Second abandonment confirmed. Below it, another line, 4. The third choice, the child must confirm in person. From outside the door came the white coat woman's voice. Lingua, your parents signed a full-time boarding agreement. Without their permission, no one can take you away. I stared at the shard. What does full-time boarding mean? The woman laughed. It means they don't want you anymore. The letters on the mirror changed. Third abandonment confirmed. Warm yellow lights flickered on. One by one, the wall in front of me turned into a giant mirror, the metal bed, the plastic bucket, the scratches on the door, all bathed in soft yellow light. Mirror dad stood by the dining table. For the first time, his face was clear. He looked to be in his mid-30s, with a faint scar on his right eyebrow. Mirror mom still wore that old apron, holding a steaming bowl of small wontons. She wasn't gaunt anymore, so every time my real parents abandoned me, she came closer to me and became more like a real person. In the center of the mirror, 3 doors appeared. The first read, stay in the original home. The second read, live in the mirror forever. The third read, swap parents. Mirror mom didn't rush me. Guagua, you choose. What does the third one mean? You stay outside, and we take care of you instead. What about them? Mirror dad pointed at the mirror. They'll come in here. I looked at the third door. When you go out, will you look exactly like them? Yes. Can others tell the difference? No. Do you have their memories? Yes. Then would you favor my sister? Mirror mom walked to the door and crouched down, looking through the glass. We will love you. She paused. And we will love Lin you too. Love isn't a cake. Cutting a bigger piece for one person doesn't mean the other starves. My nose tingled, but I still hadn't chosen. What about my sister? She's a child in this family. If you choose the swap, we'll be her parents too. Would she agree? We can ask her. Mirror dad raised his hand and gently swiped through the air. The mirror showed a scene from home. My sister was in the living room, rummaging through mom's bag. She found the payment slip from Chingha Center and used the tablet to look up the address. She texted Counselor Chen first, no reply, then she called the police. My sister was taken to a bad place. The operator asked where her parents were. My sister looked up at the sofa. Mom and dad were just coming out of the bedroom. Mom snatched the tablet away. Lin Yu, have you lost your mind? Bring her back. She needs treatment. She's not sick. You just got better. Don't let her drag you down again. Dad grabbed the payment slip and tore it in half. My sister rushed to pick it up, but he shoved her to the floor. The doll she was holding rolled against the wall. Mom didn't even look at her. She just kept explaining to the police on the phone, saying that my sister has autism, can't express herself clearly, and that it was all a misunderstanding. From inside the mirror, I clenched my fists. I choose the third option. Mirror mom confirmed once more. Once you choose, there's no going back. I won't change my mind. Even if they beg you from inside the mirror later, you can't soften and open the door. Only your active forgiveness can end the exchange. I won't open it. I pressed the third door. The mirror surface flowed like water. At the same time, every mirror in the house lit up. The bathroom, the vanity, the entryway, even the compact in mom's purse glowed white. Hands reached out from the mirrors and grabbed mom and dad. Mom screamed and stumbled back. What the hell is that? Dad grabbed a chair and smashed it against the mirror. The chair went right through. The next second, another hand pulled him in. The more they struggled, the deeper they sank. Mom finally saw me on the other side of the glass. Guagua, she pounded on the mirror. Mommy knows she was wrong. Make it stop. We'll come get you tomorrow. I just watched her, but you just said you'd wait until I was normal. You are normal. Mommy was wrong. And what about sister? Sister's normal too. We're all fine as a family. That line came way too late. 5 years too late. Mirror mom appeared behind her. They had the same body shape, but completely different faces. The mom outside was full of fear. Mirror mom's eyes were gentle and calm. Every time you abandoned your child, you said it wouldn't happen again. The mirror gave you 2 chances. There's no third. She took mom's hand. The mom outside was crying, struggling, screaming my nickname. Dad started cursing. He cursed the mirror, cursed Chingha Center, and finally cursed me. Lingua, if you do this to your own parents, you'll pay for it. Mirror dad only asked him one thing. When you left your 7-year-old daughter in a locked facility, did you think about karma? Dad's voice went silent. They were dragged into the mirror. Then mirror mom and dad stepped out from the entryway mirror. The lights went out. The mirrors returned to normal. My sister sat on the floor, staring at the two people who looked exactly like our parents. Mirror mom knelt down and first checked her scraped knee. Does it hurt? My sister didn't answer. She reached out and touched mirror mom's face. You're not her. No, I'm not. Will you bring my sister back? We're going right now. My sister grabbed her hand. Then you're my mom. At 1 in the morning, two police cars pulled up outside Chingha Center. The black sedan in front carried my new mom and dad. 8. The main gate of Chingha Center wouldn't open. The supervisor spoke through the door, saying they couldn't release a child without a legal guardian present in person. My new dad slapped the full-time care agreement against the iron gate. I am the guardian. After checking his ID, the supervisor still refused. This child has severe delusions and aggressive behavior. She's in the middle of a correction phase. Interrupting her treatment now would do more harm than good. My new mom looked at her. Do you have a medical facility license? The supervisor went quiet. My new dad pulled out his phone again. Fire exits are locked. The dorm windows have full steel bars. Surveillance coverage is incomplete. Staff are suspected of physical abuse and unlawful detention. I've already sent all the evidence to the police and relevant authorities. Are you opening this door? Or is the fire department going to do it? The supervisor's face went pale. She probably couldn't figure out how the parents who called their daughter a liar just hours ago had suddenly turned into different people. 5 minutes later, the door opened. When my new mom found me, I was sitting on the iron bed in the isolation room. She didn't stand at the door calling my name. She ran over, knelt down, and checked me from head to toe. When she saw the pinch marks on my arm, her hands wouldn't stop shaking. I'm sorry, Mommy came too late. I touched her face. It was warm. You really came out. Are you going back? No. She held me tight. Her hug felt just like the one in the mirror. It smelled of laundry, detergent, home-cooked food, and a faint scent of soap. I finally understood why the home in the mirror had always been so warm. It wasn't because of the lights, it was because someone was waiting for me there. The Chingha Center was raided that very night. The police found 12 children in the isolation rooms. The youngest was 6, the oldest 14. Some had been sent there for bad grades, some for being addicted to their phones, and others just for being shy and not talking the way their parents demanded. The hallway cameras were missing, but my sister's doll had recorded the conversations between the director and my birth mother. On the phone, the director promised, skip a couple of meals, and they'll behave. If they don't admit their mistakes, keep them locked up until they do. You can't spoil kids like this. Those words became evidence. Counselor Chen also rushed over. It turned out that after my birth parents filed a complaint against her, they blocked her contact without telling anyone. She couldn't reach us, so she had already reported the situation to the school and the community. My sister's emergency call finally led everyone here. On the way home, my sister sat next to me. She handed me a strawberry lollipop. I'm sorry, that was the second sentence she ever said to me out loud. I unwrapped the candy and popped it into her mouth. It's not your fault. My sister sucked on the candy, her eyes red. Before I took Mom away from you, you were only 4 then. I was scared that once you were born, they wouldn't want me anymore. You don't have to be scared now. I leaned against her shoulder. We both got new ones together. In the front seat, my new dad cleared his throat lightly. Actually, it's not just a new mom, you got a new dad too. My sister and I looked at each other. For the first time, we laughed out loud together. When we got home, my new mom cooked us 2 bowls of noodles, the same number of eggs, the same amount of beef, even 3 pieces of greens in each bowl. My sister stared at her bowl for a long time. She asked, what if I can't finish it? Then leave it. You won't be mad. No. What if my sister eats more than me? Then she must be hungry. My sister lowered her head, and tears fell into the soup. My new mom didn't rush to comfort her, and she didn't tell me to give in. She just pulled out a tissue and handed one to each of us. Eat slowly. There will be many more meals ahead. After dinner, I passed by the hallway. A soft tapping came from the mirror. My old mom stood inside. Her face was pale, and she kept muttering something. When I got closer, I finally heard her. Guagua, Mommy knows she was wrong. Let Mommy out. My old dad stood behind her, his face dark. Don't beg her. She's just an ungrateful brat. The next second, the room inside the mirror went dark. The lights went out, the fridge emptied, and the door locked from the outside. They started reliving everything I had been through. First, the shopping mall restroom, then the empty house. Finally, the isolation room at Qinghe Center. This wasn't punishment, it's just letting them experience firsthand the things they once called no big deal. The old mom pressed against the mirror, crying, "It's so dark in here, Mommy's scared." I looked at her through the glass. "You're in your 30s. What's there to be afraid of?" That's what she'd said to me on the phone. Now I'm giving it back. Fair's fair. 9. After the switch, our home didn't become perfect overnight. My sister still needed to see a therapist. At first, she stuttered when she talked, and in crowds, she'd instinctively clutch her doll. I was scared of locked doors too. Every night before bed, I had to check the door handle 3 times. New Dad took out every lock that could be locked from the outside in the whole house. New Mom filled the fridge with food and even saved me a little drawer at the bottom. There was a note on it, Gugua's special drawer. Sister must ask permission. My sister put one up next to it, Sister's special drawer. Gugua can take whatever she wants. I read both, then tore them down. We're family. Why divide things so clearly? New Dad leaned against the kitchen doorway, his scarred eyebrow crinkling with a smile. Makes sense, but we still need to find out who drank the last yogurt. My sister pointed at me. I pointed at New Dad. We finally checked the trash, and the empty carton was thrown away by New Mom. Yeah, new parents aren't perfect either. At least they sneak yogurt. Teacher Chen did a new evaluation for my sister. She doesn't have autism. Years of family pressure, false suggestions, and fear had made her choose to stay silent. Recovery will take time, but that's okay. New Mom said the one thing we're not short on is time. They didn't stop caring about my sister just because she could talk now, and they didn't ignore her to make it up to me. My family finally stopped being a seesaw. There was no more need for one kid to go down so the other could go up. 6 months later, the school held a family sports day. Before, at events like this, my parents only went with my sister. This time, New Dad stood between me and my sister, with 2 ropes tied around his waist. The teacher frowned. In the 3-legged race, one parent can only pair with one child. New Dad was confident. I have 2 kids. The rules don't allow it. Then I'll sign up twice. He ran the first lap with my sister, then came back for me. In the end, he was so worn out he sat by the track, panting. I handed him a bottle of water. "Dad, you're out of shape." He took a sip. "Nonsense. I'm just managing my energy wisely." New Mom called him out. "He practiced for 3 hours last night. This morning, he couldn't even lift his legs." New Dad, my sister and I laughed so hard we almost rolled onto the grass. That afternoon, we took a family photo. In the picture, me and my sister stand in the middle. Mom and Dad each have an arm around one of us. No one's blocking anyone. No one's pushed to the edge. When the photo was developed, New Mom put it on the entryway cabinet, right across from the mirror. The old parents were still inside. The old mom had lost a lot of weight. Every day, she'd apologize to me, repeating over and over that she'd change. The old dad cursed at me at first, but later he stopped. He learned to cook for the old mom, and to stay with her when she was scared. But there was never enough food in the mirror, because I never had enough either. One day, the old mom asked me, "Gugwa, what do we have to do for you to forgive us?" I thought about it. "I don't know," she cried. "We did give birth to you, so what? You can't just never recognize your real parents." I looked at her, then at the family photo on the cabinet. "You're right, I can't, but I don't have to forgive you, and I don't have to let you out. You two stay in there and think about what you did. When you understand why I'm not letting you out, maybe then we'll talk." I turned away from the mirror. New Mom was standing in the hallway, watching me. She didn't say anything, she just opened her arms. I walked into her hug. "You did good, sweetheart. Now let's go have some dinner." That night, I fell asleep to the sound of my new parents talking softly in the living room, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't dream of locked doors. I looked at her through the mirror. "When I was 7, I thought you couldn't abandon your own daughter either, but you abandoned me 3 times. She couldn't find the words. I didn't smash the mirror, nor did I pull the curtain over it. Forgiving or not is my call. When to forgive is also my call. They've already made too many choices for me. This one, I'm keeping for myself." That evening, my new mom called me from the kitchen. "Guagua, the ribs are ready. Go tell your sister to wash her hands." Coming, I turned and ran toward the dining room. My sister was already setting out the bowls and chopsticks. My new dad carried a plate of slightly burnt greens, stubbornly insisting they were char-grilled style. My new mom told him to stop ruining Chinese food. The light fell on the 4 of us. On the table sat 4 bowls of rice and 4 pairs of chopsticks. As I climbed onto my chair, I suddenly remembered a question Mirror Mom had asked me the first time I stepped into the looking glass. She asked, Guagua, what do you think a family is? Back then, I didn't know how to answer, but now I do. A family isn't about blood, and it isn't a place where you have to behave perfectly to stay. A family is where someone remembers you haven't eaten yet, where someone counts the kids before leaving the house. 1, 2, not one can be missing. In the hallway mirror, my old mom was still pounding on the glass. I didn't look back, because this time, out here, beyond the mirror, is my home. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see, in the 8th year of their marriage, photos of Gu Beichuan traveling through Europe with his childhood sweetheart flooded the internet. The childhood sweetheart even posted a high-profile caption, always in love, never reaching the end. I gave it a like with my main account, then turned around and publicly posted my marriage certificate with Gu Beichuan on Weibo. Gu Beichuan called to confront me. After he had vented enough, I calmly said, as you wish, let's get a divorce. Gu Beichuan called just as I had finished packing up all my belongings from the Gu family villa. It's almost laughable. After 8 years of marriage to Gu Beichuan, aside from the perfunctory gifts he gave me each year, I had pitifully few things of my own, and it made sense. Ever since I fell out with my family over him, he had kept me confined at home under the guise of being a virtuous wife and mother. At first, he gave me a supplementary card in his name, but later he began to find fault with me in every way. From not understanding how to analyze the company's situation to not being as carefree and radiant as Su Nuonuo. And eventually, he took the card back. Answering the call, Gu Beichuan's sinister voice rang in my ear, and I could faintly hear Su Nuonuo's sobbing. I checked the time. It should be midnight in Europe right now. At this hour, it was hard not to let my thoughts run wild. Ji Yun, what do you mean by this? Do you have any idea how badly Nuonuo has been cyberbullied because of you? The last shred of hope in my heart was completely severed by him. He won't remember that today is our wedding anniversary. If it were before, I would have definitely tried every possible way to put on a facade of peace in front of others. In the past, if he had done something like this, I would have already come up with excuses for him before he even had to explain himself to relatives and friends. But this time, I don't want to make excuses for them anymore. Apologize to Nuonuo now and post online that it was all fake, and I might still forgive you. Hearing the commanding tone on the other end of the phone, my heart actually ached for a moment. Seeing that I didn't respond, Gu Beichuan softened his tone, but it still carried an air of authority. Ji Yun, Nuonuo is just in a bad mood. We grew up together. You know I can't just leave her alone. If I had heard this before, I would have definitely had a big argument with Gu Beichuan, for no other reason than that Su Nuonuo had a boyfriend. It's just that her boyfriend wasn't from a prominent family in the capital like the Su and Gu families, and Su Nuonuo had never admitted this in front of Gu Beichuan. Now, hearing Gu Beichuan say this, I feel an unusual sense of calm inside. Yes, I know, even if Su Nuonuo has a boyfriend, she still needs your company. There was a moment of silence from Gu Beichuan on the other end of the phone, followed by a cold tone as he spoke. I didn't want to listen to his self-righteous lecturing and threats, so I cut him off. So, as you wish, let's get a divorce. The other end of the line fell silent for a few seconds before the man's indifferent voice came through. Are you really sure you want to divorce me? Divorce? I'm not joking with you. A scoff came from Gu Beichuan's end. He seemed to think that I, the wife who had always trailed behind him, desperately waiting for him to turn back, would never actually bring up divorce. I didn't realize you were capable of playing hard to get, but I'm not falling for it. Since you brought it up, let's get a divorce, just don't regret it. As the call ended, I stared at the screen that went from bright to dark. Lost in thought. Immediately after, Gu's mother's call came through. Xiaoyun, how could you do this? That little girl Nuonuo, she just admires our Beichuan too much. How old is she? She's still an innocent child, spoiled by the Su family for so long, a bit immature. That's why she caused such a mess. But even though Nuonuo is a bit willful, as her older sister, how could you embarrass her like this? Hurry up and delete that Weibo post. Then go back to the old house with Beichuan, bringing some gifts, apologize to Nuonuo, and post a statement online or something. Nuonuo won't make things difficult for you, and this matter will be over. Listening to Mrs. Gu's words, I was so angry I almost laughed out loud. Back when I first got engaged to Gu Beichuan, Mrs. Gu treated me like the apple of her eye. Whenever I visited the Gu family, even if the tea had cooled just a little, she would rush to replace it with a fresh cup, but now, she can so easily expect me to swallow all my grievances. Is it that people's hearts change so easily? Not necessarily. Aunt Gu Beichuan and I are about to get divorced. I'm telling the truth and don't feel there's anything I need to apologize for. Besides, I don't know why Su Nuo calls me sister. What era is this? It doesn't seem like concubines are in fashion anymore. With that, I hung up the phone and promptly blocked Gu's mother. I stared at my phone, thinking it still wasn't enough. The online situation had caused a huge uproar, even though Gu Beichuan and Su Nuo used the influence of the Gu and Su families to forcibly suppress the heat. The results were still far from satisfactory. This also caused Gu Beichuan and Su Nuo's European trip to end early. After getting the news from a mutual friend, I gave Gu Beichuan a call. It took a long time before Gu Beichuan answered the phone. Realized your mistake. Get back here and apologize to Nuo. I just found it amusing and ignored Gu Beichuan's self-righteousness. Tomorrow at 9. The Civil Affairs Bureau. A scoffing reply came quickly from the other side. I'm accompanying Nuo back to the Su family tomorrow to clean up the mess you caused. I don't have time. Even though I had already given up on Gu Beichuan, his attitude that I should naturally step aside for Su Nuo still left me feeling a heavy ache in my chest. Up to you. I'll wait until 10 o'clock. If you don't come, I'll file for divorce. I hope you really have the guts to go through with the divorce and don't come back crying and begging me. Gu Beichuan quickly hung up the phone, listening to the busy tone on the other end. A wave of confusion washed over me. In the beginning, Gu Beichuan and I truly lived a sweet and harmonious life. But as we went through more and more experiences, I gradually discovered the inherent flaws in his character. Cold, unfaithful, self-righteous. Time ultimately changed everything. Early the next morning, I waited at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau for Gu Beichuan to arrive. Half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, until the scorching sun rose directly overhead at noon. I realized Gu Beichuan had no intention of coming. I wiped the sweat from my brow and turned to contact my family, whom I hadn't spoken to in a long time. The moment the call connected, something seemed to flash by in my surroundings. Dad. Before I could say anything, my father's voice came through the phone, clear and firm. If you regret it, just come back. Your mom and I will always be here for you. Come home for dinner tonight. I'll ask Aunt Wang to make your favorite sweet and sour pork ribs. Hearing this, my nose tingled with emotion. I rubbed it before replying in a muffled voice, Dad, could you find me a lawyer who specializes in divorce cases? When my father heard me say this, he grumbled a few words at me, but then immediately sent me a business card. I added the lawyer as a friend and briefly explained my situation to him. The lawyer said the matter was a bit complicated and suggested it would be best to meet in person when we had time. After thinking it over, I scheduled the meeting for 3 days later. Just as I finished confirming with the lawyer, an annoying voice sounded from behind me. Oh my, sister-in-law, how are you here? The person who arrived was Gu Beichuan's good friend Xia Jing. When we first got together, he had often covered for Gu Beichuan and Su Nuo. After I caught them once, our relationship became very strained. Once, when he was drunk, he even said right in front of me that Gu Beichuan and Su Nuo should be together forever. At that time, Gu Beichuan didn't care about me at all. With a smile at the corner of his eyes, he tried to brush everything off with a casual, he's drunk. We had a huge fight that time. He blurted out, look at yourself now. What's the difference between you and a shrew? Can't you learn a bit of Nuo's innocence and kindness? His explanation was that he spoke out of turn after drinking, but I believe more in the saying that wine reveals the truth. Need something, our relationship really isn't that great. I don't think we're anywhere near close enough to chat casually on the street. With one arm around a beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure, he looked at me with a grin. Why didn't sister-in-law go back to the Gu family with brother Gu today? Without looking up, I replied slowly, waiting for him to come and get a divorce. Xia Jing's movements froze, then she stared at me as if in disbelief, still forcing a laugh on her face. That can't be, sis-in-law, you, brother Gu and Su Nuo are just ordinary friends. You're being a bit too extreme. I nodded, not wanting to say more to him. Then I wish you many such ordinary friends among the people you love in the future. Xia Jing's face stiffened, but I paid him no mind and simply opened the car door. The cool air inside instantly soothed the irritation in my heart. There were several unread messages on my phone, all from group chats created by friends who were once very close to me. Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo returned to the Gu family hand in hand. In the photo, Su Nuonuo smiled serenely, while Gu Beichuan lowered his head with a faint smile, gazing at the woman's hair whirl. Gu Beichuan and I entered into a marriage of convenience between wealthy families, but surprisingly, we got along quite well over time. I even genuinely fell in love with Gu Beichuan. When the Gu family's capital chain broke, I didn't hesitate to fill the gap for them. Back then, Gu Beichuan held me in his arms, his eyes filled with emotion and grand ambitions. He said he would make the Gu family bigger and stronger, and he would make me the envy of everyone as Mrs. Gu. Back then, Mr. and Mrs. Gu treated me with great gentleness. When my brother warned me that the Gu family might have sinister ambitions, I dismissed it with disdain. But now, when I lost the protection of my parents, when they discovered I had fallen in love with Gu Beichuan, my life turned upside down. Gu Beichuan came home later and later, his social engagements grew more frequent, and rumors of his affairs kept reaching my ears. Mr. and Mrs. Gu looked at me with cold eyes, and after Su Nuonuo returned, they didn't even spare me a kind glance. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was Gu Beichuan. Nuo has a fever. Let's talk about the divorce tomorrow. I thought of the photo of Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo, who looked like a perfect couple, and felt nothing but irony. There was a time when I feared that all the happiness I thought I had was shrouded beneath this illusion. Now that I have seen Gu Beichuan's true colors, I no longer bother to pretend with him and drove straight back to the Ji residence. After the Gu family's capital chain broke, the Ji family keenly sensed something was wrong and withdrew in time. If I hadn't been blinded by so-called love back then, pouring all my assets into Gu Beichuan, the Ji family might have climbed even higher today. I returned early, but the entire family was gathered, sitting neatly on the sofa, waiting for me. Seeing me return, my mother's eyes instantly reddened. After hearing from me the whole story between me and Gu Beichuan, Father Ji slammed the table fiercely. That Gu family brat has gone too far in bullying us. My brother calmed Father down, then turned to look at me. Xiaoyun, I know you're a thoughtful person. What do you plan to do? I looked up, my gaze resolute. I want a divorce, but, before the divorce, I intend to collect some interest from the Gu family. In the 8 years I've been married to him, I've poured in genuine gold and silver, 8 years of youthful adoration, years of forbearance and grievances. Gu Beichuan must compensate me for every single one. With the Ji family secretly fueling the fire, the matter of Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo, which had just been suppressed a while ago, was reignited. I posted the recording of the phone call Gu Beichuan and his mother made to me that day, along with photos of the two of them returning to the Gu family hand in hand. Online, mistress, affair, wealthy family. Each of these was a compelling enough point of interest. In less than half a day, the news spread like wildfire, and the Gu family's stock plummeted repeatedly. The Gu family directly posted evidence on their official account that Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo had grown up together since childhood. Between the lines, they were accusing me of making a fuss over nothing, while asserting that Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo were innocent and merely very close friends. Public opinion on the internet has taken a turn, and quite a few people now believe they are just friends. Some even say, the Gu family is wealthy and powerful. Isn't it normal for a domineering CEO to have a few close female friends? I simply ignore all these comments. I have blocked all of the Gu family members and Gu Beichuan's friends, waiting only for the lawyer to draft the documents so I can officially divorce Gu Beichuan. If it weren't for me back then during the financial crisis, the Gu family wouldn't be where it is today. When I divorce Gu Beichuan, I would rather donate all the interest I deserve to a welfare institution than let him benefit for free. Even though the Gu family's lawyers repeatedly emphasized that it was inappropriate for me to take away 7/10 of the family's assets, I didn't care in the slightest. In the afternoon, I saw a photo of Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo strolling along the beach in a small group chat created by a mutual friend. In the photo, the two of them showed no signs of being affected by the public opinion, and Gu Beichuan and Su Nuo even wore matching couple rings. I can't help but marvel at their resilience under pressure. All the inner turmoil and hesitation vanished in an instant. Less than 2 minutes after the photo was posted, it was shared online by my once best friend, Song Ling. May everyone who thinks this is friendship have partners with several such friends in the future. The Song family is also a wealthy household, and Song Ling has been at odds with Su Nuo since childhood, with most of the Song family's assets overseas. Even if the Gu family wanted to cause trouble, they couldn't exert much influence. Thus, she felt emboldened and directly took to the internet to expose this shameless couple. Moreover, the Gu family now has its own troubles to deal with. The lawyer recommended by my father acted quickly, filing a lawsuit against Gu Beichuan in court before public opinion reached its peak. At this moment, Gu Beichuan looked at me in shock, seemingly unable to believe that I, who had always been excessively tolerant of him, would truly be so ruthless this time. That day, the agitated Gu Beichuan suddenly changed his mind just as the car was about to arrive at the Gu residence, to the villa. The villa was our new home at the time, but later, Gu Beichuan rarely came back. The driver immediately turned the car around upon receiving the instruction, and before long, the car slowly came to a stop in front of the villa. Gu Beichuan entered the villa, and as he looked at the impeccably cleaned home, a wave of frustration washed over him. He looked around and finally confirmed that all my belongings in the villa had disappeared. The things he had given me were still scattered here and there in the walk-in closet, clearly showing that the original owner hadn't valued them much. Gu Beichuan felt a suffocating tightness in his chest. He still refused to believe that I was truly going to divorce him. In the beginning, when he started having rumors of affairs, I had also made a fuss, even threatening him with divorce and running away from home. But Gu Beichuan was convinced that I was deeply in love with him. After confirming that I was not in any life-threatening danger, he would simply let me be. He would go on drinking with young models and flirting with his female assistants as usual. In less than a week, I would obediently reappear and back down. Gu Beichuan couldn't understand why I was being so heartless this time. Because of the wedding anniversary, no, from the 3rd year onward, they had never celebrated their wedding anniversary together again. After much thought, Gu Beichuan still attributed the reason to my irrational jealousy. Su Nuo was also anxious when she saw the public opinion overwhelmingly leaning against her. As a pampered young lady, she cared about nothing else but 2 things in particular, men and reputation. Now, she hadn't fully secured a man like Gu Beichuan, who excelled in every aspect, yet she was already branded as a homewrecker, and even the Su family was affected, watching the sons and daughters of wealthy families openly and covertly mock her. Su Nuo was eager to change all of this. She thought of her boyfriend, who had an extremely low presence. Little did she know, her boyfriend had already been turned by me. No man can accept his girlfriend constantly being surrounded by ambiguous relationships, unless he doesn't care about you, or has ulterior motives, and Su Nuo's boyfriend clearly fell into the latter category. Su Nuo's boyfriend was the youngest son of a third-rate wealthy family, naturally having no chance of inheriting the family business. Unwilling to beg for money from his elder brother and parents every day, he could only set his sights on those wealthy and beautiful heiresses. However, the unrestrained behavior of Su Nuo and Gu Beichuan deeply wounded the pride of someone who had been pampered since childhood. Su Nuo was secretly looked down upon because she had the Su family and the uncertain Gu family behind her, but he had nothing to back him up. Su Nuo's actions over such a long time had made him feel ashamed and unable to hold his head high. As soon as I approached him, he eagerly agreed. The Su family held a press conference, during which Su Nuo's engagement was announced. Everyone, the rumors about my daughter and the Gu family's child are completely unfounded. The widely circulated story about their trip to Europe together didn't just involve the 2 of them. Zhao Zhuo was also part of the group. After Mr. Su finished speaking, he gave a meaningful look to Zhao Zhuo and Su Nuo. Su Nuo linked arms with Zhao Zhuo, smiling gently, but her tone left no room for doubt. Absolutely. If there are any more rumors and troublemaking in the future, my fiancé and I will definitely take legal action to the end. Zhao Zhuo took the microphone and sneered at the cameras of the reporters below. Everyone, Zhao Zhuo, cannot accept a fiancé who is so indiscreet and full of lies. As soon as these words were spoken, the room fell silent, and then whispers began to rise. Su Nuonuo's face turned deathly pale as she stared at Zhao Zhua in disbelief. Everything that has been said online is absolutely true. Zhao Zhua had come prepared. With a wave of his hand, evidence began to play on a loop on the large screen behind him. Before Gu Beichuan and my fiancé traveled to Europe together, my poor fiancée told me she had argued with her family and wanted to go out alone to clear her mind. She even specifically told me not to accompany her. The crowd erupted in an uproar, but Zhao Zhua's mouth still wouldn't stop. He explained the ins and outs of each piece of evidence with clear logic. Su Nuonuo had never seen such a scene before and was momentarily stunned, rooted to the spot. Su's father, on the other hand, had the intention to intervene, but seeing that his own people couldn't even get close to Zhao Zhua, he understood the situation all too well. Zhao Zhua didn't have the ability to pull off something like this. The only one capable of doing so and dead set on ruining Su Nuonuo's reputation was that girl from the Ji family. The commotion over there didn't affect Gu Beichuan and me in the slightest. Su Nuonuo had told Gu Beichuan about her plan, and now he stood tall and proud, waiting only for her success, with new evidence in hand. Even if the divorce still went through, I wouldn't get much of the Gu family's assets. Seeing that the time was about right, Gu Beichuan's lawyer stood up unhurriedly. We have new evidence here. After receiving permission, he openly played the video recording of the Su family's press conference. After the video was played, Gu Beichuan's face suddenly changed. He wanted to stand up and stop it but was held back by the people around him. In the end, they could only glare at me resentfully, their eyes seemingly capable of piercing 2 holes through me. After presenting the evidence, I then submitted the proof of how I had done my utmost to fill the financial gap when the Gu family faced a crisis. Soon, the results came out, just as I had expected. Before leaving the courthouse, Gu Beichuan approached me with a dark, menacing expression. Ji Yun, you did this on purpose. As for Gu Beichuan, I no longer have any desire to engage with him whatsoever. Since he said that, I simply nodded, my expression as calm as ever. Think whatever you want, Ji Yun. Gu Beichuan's eyes widened in fury. We were husband and wife at the time. That money was given voluntarily, and now you want to take 70% of the Gu family's assets. Have you lost all your decency? Before I could speak, my brother abruptly pulled me behind him, his dark eyes fixed on Gu Beichuan as he said with a light laugh, Mr. Gu's decency seems to have been left behind in Europe with Miss Su. The sound of camera flashes around him abruptly cut off the words that Gu Beichuan was about to speak. The Gu family's reputation was already in tatters, and he couldn't afford to bring any more trouble upon them, but it seemed even the heavens disapproved of his actions. Before I could even return to the Ji family, the internet was flooded with mockery directed at Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo, especially Gu Beichuan. The speech he made at the courthouse entrance was recorded, and many who had thought I had gone too far suddenly realized that without me, the Gu family would have long ceased to exist. This intensified their mockery of Gu Beichuan, from his initial affair with his childhood sweetheart during marriage to his current reputation as a kept man that didn't live up to the name. It all felt like a massive net, tightly ensnaring Gu Beichuan. Lately, Gu Beichuan had been acting like a madman, not only frequently appearing around the Ji family villa but also constantly changing his phone number to send me messages and make calls non-stop. After hanging up the 20th call, I asked the butler to go out and chase Gu Beichuan, who was loitering at the gate, far away, and to put up a sign at the entrance, Gu Beichuan and dogs are not allowed to enter. After staying at home for a long time, Song Ling and I made plans to go shopping together, with the Ji family and other wealthy families who have always been at odds with them fanning the flames. The matter between Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo still had a bit of heat even after more than 10 days. After finishing shopping with Song Ling, Gu Beichuan was once again blocking the entrance of the Ji family, like a stubborn piece of adhesive that was hard to get rid of. Just as I reached the door, a muffled thunderclap sounded outside, followed by a downpour of heavy rain. I looked up and instructed Aunt Wang, Wang Ma, bring it in, it's pitiful in this heavy rain. A glimmer of light flashed in Gu Beichuan's eyes. Ji Yun knew that all of this was just an act. Deep down, Ji Yun still liked him. As soon as he moved, he saw Wang Ma holding an umbrella and carrying a small, yellow and white puppy out from the grass. After realizing that no one in the Ji residence paid him any attention, Gu Beichuan's face darkened to the point where it couldn't get any blacker. The rain poured down his hair, and in no time at all, he was drenched to the bone. Just as Gu Beichuan was about to leave, a sudden umbrella appeared over his head. Gu Beichuan turned around, expecting to see my eyes filled with heartache and self-blame. His mind already calculating how to handle me. Instead, he was caught off guard by the sight of Su Nuonuo, dressed in a white dress. Nuonuo, what are you doing here? Gu Beichuan's voice was stiff. In front of Su Nuonuo, he had always held a superior position, and Su Nuonuo was more than happy to indulge him. He had never been this disheveled before. Thinking of this, he turned and glared at me, who was playing with the puppy inside the house. Su Nuonuo smiled gently, but her eyes were visibly shattered. I heard from them that Brother Gu was at the Ji family's place, so I thought, with such heavy rain, if... Su Nuonuo paused, then lowered her head, her voice muffled. The rain is so heavy, Brother Gu, why didn't you even bring an umbrella? If you get sick, what should we do? Gu Beichuan's heart had initially softened, but upon second thought, he quickly grabbed Su Nuonuo. Who are you talking about? Su Nuonuo's expression of distress froze. She had thought Gu Beichuan would feel more pity for her because of her understanding and gentleness, but she never expected. But Su Nuonuo still said, It's Xia Jing and Song Ling. They've been going crazy discussing it in the group chat. Gu Beichuan gritted his teeth. Song Ling again. Song Ling returned with me and witnessed Gu Beichuan's belated, sticky persistence. She immediately shared the scene with her girlfriends. Xia Jing even publicly tagged me in the group chat, spouting nonsense like, a prodigal son's return is more precious than gold, sister-in-law. Just forgive Brother Gu. I scoffed at his words, picked up my phone from the sofa, and snapped a few photos from the second floor of Gu Beichuan and Su Nuonuo putting on their devoted couple act at the Ji family's doorstep. He said he sent it to the group chat. The group instantly fell silent. Even Xia Jing, who had just been speaking highly of Gu Beichuan, felt his face burn with embarrassment, and he couldn't help but hold a bit of resentment toward Gu Beichuan. Here he was, putting in a good word for him, while Gu Beichuan was over there with Su Nuonuo, being affectionate at the Ji family's doorstep. If they didn't care about their reputation, he, Xia Jing, certainly did. After this incident, Gu Beichuan hadn't shown his face around me for several days. The Gu family's business ran into trouble, and when I left, I didn't choose to take Gu family shares but instead took the equivalent amount of money. Both Gu Beichuan and I had prenuptial property notarization, but it's undeniable that Gu Beichuan elevated the Gu Corporation to new heights in just 8 years. What I received was far more than what I had initially invested, but just as I got my hands on the money, the Gu Corporation once again faced a crisis of broken capital chains. Mr. Gu and Gu Beichuan were as anxious as ants on a hot pan, but Mrs. Gu seemed to set her sights on Su Nuonuo. At that time, I was blinded by Gu Beichuan, determined to be with him for the long haul. So I filled the Gu family's financial shortfall all at once. Having tasted the sweetness, Gu's mother had already begun hinting, both overtly and covertly, for Su Nuonuo to help patch up the Gu family's holes. Su Nuonuo clung to Gu Beichuan partly because of his handsome appearance, but more so because he was the heir to the Gu family, the Mr. Gu who could stir up storms in the capital. Besides, even if she had the intention to put on a show of sharing hardships, the assets she held would be a drop in the bucket for the Gu family, let alone the fact that she had no intention of emptying her family's coffers to help them. She wasn't even Gu Beichuan's wife yet. Just look at my example, eagerly helping the Gu family through their crisis. Neither Su Nuonuo nor the Su family were willing to follow in my footsteps. None of this had anything to do with me. After resting at home for a few days, I threw myself back into the Ji family business, returning to my previous position, but I never expected to be cornered by Su Nuonuo in the parking lot after work. Need something? Frowning, I looked at the dark circles under Su Nuonuo's eyes. Her face was haggard, and even her gaze had lost its former clarity. Ji Yun, Su Nuonuo rasped. Why, I feel something is off. So I quietly dial my brother's phone. Why do you want to divorce him? Why do you want to take away the Gu family's assets? What gives you the right? Su Nuonuo suddenly glares at me, her whole body trembling with agitation, because without me back then, there would be no Gu family today. I've wasted so much for Gu Beichuan. Did you really think I was a merciful bodhisattva in a temple, here to do charity? I looked at Su Nuonuo, the disdain in my eyes deeply stinging her own. I am a businessman, Miss Su, weighing the pros and cons and knowing when to step back. These are things I must do. Su Nuonuo clenched her hands tightly at her sides, seemingly unwilling to accept it. Without you, I would be Mrs. Gu. Half of everything in the Gu family would be mine. I just found it amusing, crossing my arms as I watched her. Suddenly, Su Nunu lunged at me like a madwoman. I sidestepped slightly and then pinned her to the ground. Ji Yun, Su Nunu, seeing my half-smiling gaze, suddenly remembered that before marrying Gu Beichuan, I had trained in Sonda for 10 years. Soon, the police and my brother arrived. The incident of the police appearing at the Ji residence and me being taken away in a police car became known to the Gu family. Gu Beichuan was so unsettled by the news that he released it without verifying the facts. Now, less than a month after the previous incident, most netizens still had memories of the matter. After much discussion, the official news finally arrived. After the truth came to light, opinions online were divided, but Gu Beichuan understood that Su Nuonuo did not truly love him. She merely wanted to climb the social ladder by attaching herself to the Gu family. After weighing the pros and cons, he once again played the role of a man who had suddenly seen the light and came to me seeking reconciliation. But before he could take much action, the wealthy families that had long been at odds with the Gu family began to join forces to carve up the Gu Corporation, leaving Gu Beichuan with no time to spare. By the time the Gu Corporation officially declared bankruptcy, I had already fully grasped the market trends and once again threw myself into the Ji family's company. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.